Welcome back to channel ENWC205. I'm Desiree with today's Buzz. Today we're talking about bee pollination. Bees play a very important role in agriculture today and have several interesting features that contribute to their lifestyles. Join us as we discuss bees and their important contributions. Topic: Honeybee pollination. Honeybees belong to the order Hymenoptera, which includes ants, bees, wasps, and sawflies. For their wings, they have two pairs of membranous wings joined with hamuli, which are tiny hooks on a hind wing. They also have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen, a wasp-like waist, compound eyes, antennae, and modified mouth parts for chewing and lapping techniques. They use mandibles to chew and get wax to form honeycombs, and a labellum, or a sponge-like modification, to lap nectar. Honeybees are pollination specialists. Pollination is the movement of male pollen to the female part of the flower, or stigma, the first step in successful seed and fruit production by the plant. Once the plant has been pollinated, the male contribution fuses with the egg in the ovary, the process known as fertilization. After fertilization, the fruit and seeds develop and mature.
Thanks, Desiree. The relationship between bees and flowering plants is that of mutualism. In other words, these two species share a symbiotic relationship in which both benefit from each other. For example, flowers give nectar to the bees use the sugary liquid to eventually help make honey. While the bees are collecting the nectar, the pollen from the flowers attach onto the bees and get distributed from flower to flower when the bees land. Bees pollinate crops such as apples, cranberries, melons, and broccoli. Some crops, including blueberries and cherries, are 90% dependent on honeybee pollination. One crop, almonds, depend entirely on the honeybee for pollination at bloom time. A 1999 Cornell University study documented that the contribution made by managed honeybees hired by U.S. crop growers to pollinate crops amounted to just over $14.6 billion to the value of the U.S. crop production. Thank you, and on to you, Kayla.
One of the important modifications that bees use to pollinate is a pollen basket located on the back legs to help collect pollen. The nectar collected by the bee from the flowers she visits is stored in her crop and carried back to the hive. In the crop, chemical changes take place and the nectar is converted to honey. In the hive, the honey is regurgitated and stored in the cells of the honeycomb. One important mechanism that bees use to pollinate is cross-pollination. During cross-pollination, pollen from stamens sticks to a bee as it visits a flower to collect food. Then, the bee travels to another plant of the same type. Once on the other plant, pollen on the bee sticks to a pistil of a flower on the other plant. And now I'll go to Tyler, who will tell you about some of the specific threats to bees.
Thanks, Kayla. Much pollinator habitat has been lost to agriculture, resource extraction, and urban and suburban development. Many bees and butterflies are habitat-specific, and the loss of habitat that provides sites for overwintering, foraging for pollen and nectar, or nesting can be detrimental to these species. Habitat degradation, the decline in habitat quality, is another serious concern. For example, the loose, friable soil required by ground nesting bees may be trampled by heavy foot traffic or the use of off-road vehicles. Plants or animals brought here from other places can decrease the quality of pollinator habitat. Also, pesticides often kill directly, but sublethal amounts can also be detrimental to bees and other pollinators by impeding their ability to navigate or forage. But we can protect bees. Instead of using pesticides, we can explore organic ways to grow healthy plants, such as using compost for healthy soil and controlling pests with homemade remedies and biocontrols like ladybugs. You can also leave some ground undisturbed and untilled, and some dead trees and plants on the property for wild bees to nest in. Thank you for tuning in.